From getting yet another career-threatening injury to not having any idea of when he's going to be back, Tiger Woods' timetable to return is super unclear right now. After all, this is not the first time he's had an issue with his ankle. As a matter of fact, Tiger's had the plantar fasciitis issue ever since his horrific car crash in 2021. Now, obviously back then, people were thankful that he was alive, and playing golf wasn't even a consideration for him or his fans. So, the fact that he was able to not only make a comeback, but actually playing some decent golf was a miracle in and of itself. Sure, the situation wasn't ideal since he had trouble walking, and he was only able to play very selective events, but still, it was better than not having the legend play, right? That being said, while the fairy tale of seeing Woods compete at the top level again was fulfilled for a short period of time, it was clearly not sustainable, and lo and behold, his injury flared up once again at the 2023 Masters. Oh, and of course, he's had to withdraw from events before, but this one was different, because now Tiger Woods had to undergo a life-changing procedure, an ankle fusion surgery, or, as the professionals call it, a subtalar fusion. Since the whole issue with Tiger's foot was really bad inflammation due to movement, this surgery was absolutely necessary to eliminate the pain once and for all, and essentially the procedure attached two of his ankle bones together near the joint area. So now, while Woods won't have the same movement in his joint, it'll also get rid of the pain because, well, no movement equals no inflammation. Now, here's where things get a bit more tricky. We don't exactly know how long it'll take him to recover. Some say it could take 6 months, while others think he won't be back until the next PGA Tour season. In fact, there are people who think it's completely game over for him, which honestly would be such a heartbreaking end to an incredible career. With that said, there's a sentiment among golf fans that we should have all seen this coming, and should have been better prepared for it. After all, even though Woods has been an absolute warrior when it comes to recovering from these issues and making miraculous comebacks, his injury problems aren't anything new. Seriously, the dude's career has been riddled with injuries for well over a decade at this point. Whether it's knee issues that he's had to sort out time and time again, or the back injury that's required multiple surgeries at this point, Tiger Woods' career has been on the decline since long before his car crash. Oh, and let's not forget all the infidelity controversy he got himself involved in back in the day. The truth is that, despite his incredible comebacks, especially the insane Masters win back in 2019, he's not the untouchable golfer he once was before the 2010s. And while it's true that we all love to watch him play these days, and are thankful that he's even capable of doing so, he doesn't really look like someone who's gonna win anything. Sure, he says that he only takes part in events because he thinks he can win them. But thinking about it and actually doing it are two very different things. I mean, just take his recent form before this latest flare-up, for example. Even though he was excited to return to playing and set a lot of goals for himself, there was still one major hurdle that he just couldn't overcome: all the walking on the course. I mean, he even said to himself that he had zero issues when it came to hitting the ball, and it was only walking around between holes that was really painful for him. In fact, I'd say that he was still one of the best performers off the tee in pretty much all the tournaments he played post-injury. Like, just take 2023 for example. He was brilliant off the tee at the Genesis Invitational and hit the fairway consistently. What's more, Woods was also incredible when it came to hitting the greens, and honestly, that's pretty much the entire reason why he managed to make the cut at Genesis and the Masters as well. After all, his putting game was kind of horrendous as he missed birdies over and over again, and sometimes had to even settle for bogeys. Maybe that's because he just couldn't position himself properly for putting, or maybe it was a bit too painful for him to swing that way. Regardless, the fact of the matter is that no matter how good you are off the tee, it's useless if you can't finish off your holes as well. And in many ways, this could be the reason for Woods' recent downfall too. But of course, he wasn't always like this. In fact, there was a time when Tiger Woods was one of the best putters in the game. Is that any surprise to anyone though? That being said, it'd honestly be unfair to compare Woods to anyone else, because the truth is that back in his day, he was immortal. On the golf course, of course. Every single tournament he played, he dominated. And even when he didn't start off particularly well, some of his rallies in the later rounds have been truly spectacular over the years. Now, this is the late 90s and early 2000s I'm talking about, a time when he was was winning at least one major every year. Like, it's not every day that you see someone winning the US Open by 15 strokes, but that's exactly what Woods did. Of course, his form continued to drop as he got older, and the 2010s weren't very kind to him with all the controversy and injuries. However, he was still competing in PGA Tour events at least, and kept winning until 2013. Though, after that, it was basically all downhill for him. And ever since the WGC Bridgestone Invitational in August 2013, Woods has only managed to win the Tour Championship in 2018, and the Masters and the Zozo Championship in 2019. Obviously, a lot of players would give everything to win, even that, but it just shows how far he's fallen lately. Oh, and it's not like it's going to get any better now, because Tiger's surgery could significantly impact his game once he returns. Now, while it might as well just be a hoax by the media, the truth is that an ankle fusion surgery is no small thing for any athlete, let alone a golfer. After all, your entire swing heavily depends on the way you move your ankle while hitting the ball, and on the follow-through as well. Luckily, the surgery actually happened on Woods' right foot, which doesn't need that sort of flexibility and movement. And if it were his left foot, then it was game over, because that's the one you've got to roll over while taking your shot. So, while this is good news, it's still not exactly ideal because, at the end of the day, Woods' body is not cooperating with him. Sure, he may be able to return and play a few rounds of golf, but honestly, I'm not sure if he'd even be able to make it to all 4 major championships at this point. Oh, and forget about him being competitive in anything. After all, it seems like the issues just keep flaring up one after another. For instance, he had to pull out of last year's PGA Championship because one of the screws in his foot went through his skin. Like, even if the surgery stops the inflammation in his foot, who's to say that some other issue won't pop up? What's more, a lot of people aren't even sure if the PGA Tour legend is ready to deal with the drop in performance he'll see as a result of this injury. Which, of course, leads us to the all-important question. Is Tiger Woods' retirement imminent now? I mean, at least on paper, he's saying that he's got no intentions to retire and wants to make a comeback as soon as possible. As a matter of fact, the official statement published on his social media also mentioned how he's currently recovering and looking forward to his rehabilitation. That being said, we all know that things aren't as simple as that, especially after the last few instances where he's had to pull out of tournaments. What's more, according to FootCare MD, it's gonna take almost 2 to 3 months for the cast on his foot to come off, so we can write off the 2023 PGA Championship and the US Open. Oh, and let's be honest, he's not making it to the British Open either, because even after the cast has been taken off, it's still gonna be months before Woods is able to walk without support. Now, experts think that the realistic window for his return would be around the Masters in 2024, which, honestly, it could be a big triumphant return to the event where he last left off. It'd be a major chance to get redemption for him. Though at the same time, who knows if he'll even want to play golf at all by that time, since we don't know just how much the surgery is going to affect his swing. So it's all hanging in the balance for the golf legend right now, and all we can do as fans is cross our fingers and hope for his return. Well, there you have it. From not having any idea when he's going to be back to getting yet another career-threatening injury, this is Tiger Woods' timetable to return and what it means for his future.